Hi, everyone. So happy to be here with you today. I have a wonderful author. I'm just thrilled for us to chat with. Annette Whipple is here with us. We've been talking about Earth Day, but certainly also thinking about every day is Earth Day. And there's just so many ways to explore this with students as educators and as parents. So let me tell you a little bit about Annette before we begin our conversation. So first of all, Annette is an educator. She has a passion for science as an environmental educator right out of college, turned author. Some of Annette's earlier books are the Laura Ingalls Wilder Companion and the Story of the Wright Brothers. And then the favorite books of mine, which come from Ray Craft Books, are the Truth About series. And the Truth About series are these incredible nonfiction books. The writing, the images, and the way they engage the reader are just absolutely amazing. And I'm just wondering if you have any before, yes, like the Truth About Dogs, woof, yes. And then you have the Truth About Spiders and the Truth About Owls. And then I think the Truth About Frogs is coming out.
Very soon.
Very soon. Well, Annette, thank you so much for being here with us today and having this conversation.
It is good to be here, good to be just talking about books and how they can help kids and really all of us to kind of celebrate our curiosity and this world.
Yes, and I know that that's your big vision as an author, and bringing these nonfiction books to students is to celebrate curiosity. And you sure do that in the books that you write. And I'm wondering, just thinking about nonfiction, because really there's so many ways to celebrate curiosity, right? But you have found a way to celebrate curiosity through using nonfiction and through writing nonfiction. What inspired you to do that? What inspired you to really embrace nonfiction as that vehicle for curiosity?
Well, I think the big thing is that I think facts are fun. And so I love to learn new things and then share them. And, I'm no longer a classroom teacher or an environmental educator. So now I'm doing it through my written word, through presentations. But I get to kind of choose what I'm going to learn about and then share about it as often as possible. But for me, I choose nonfiction really because this world is worth celebrating. I love to read fiction, but professionally, I'm not going to write it. It's at least at this point in my career, I don't see myself ever writing fiction stories or books because it's just not my passion. I think the people in this world, people who lived before us, history, science, I think it's just worth celebrating in itself. So that's why I write nonfiction and informational books.
Yeah, and when you talk about celebrating curiosity, there are some things that are in your books that are absolutely irresistible. Doesn't matter the age of the reader, that we just cannot, I don't know, hold ourselves back from being more curious about. And I think I'm specifically thinking about the Truth About series. And I certainly have some favorite parts of the Truth About series that keeps us really curious. One of them is the way that there are these incredibly gorgeous images, and then some really fascinating facts, and then pairing that with some type of very often fictional, cartoonish character to give a little conversation with the reader. So that's one of my favorites. And that really just sparks curiosity just in one page spread. So I'm curious about you. What are some of the features in the Truth About series that really are some of your favorite or you've noticed spark curiosity?
Well, I might have written the words, but I really think the design of these books is what really stands out. So this is Who Knew, The Truth About Owls. And you can see that gorgeous cover, nice and close up. And that's what the whole series, we focus on those faces of the animal to really get up close and personal. But when we see images like this,
Yeah.
and, my question was, do owls sleep all day? And we might think that we know the answer to that because we've always heard that owls are nocturnal, and most are. But I also highlight a couple of species who aren't. Because, it says during the day, so do owls sleep all day? During the day, most owls nap and hide in their roost. They're active at night, but not all owls are nocturnal. Some owls are active at dawn and dusk. Burrowing owls hunt around sunrise and sunset, so they rest during the day and night. Northern hawk owls are different from most owls. They spend their days awake and hunting. They nap at night. And then here is that illustration. And this is where I added a little bit of humor and a little bit of fun to this series. And in the owl book, the sidebars are all called Who Knew? And this owl saying, I'm a snowy owl. Summer days in the Arctic are long, so I find plenty of small mammals like lemmings while the sun shines. I even hunt birds and fish. Owls must be aware of danger, so we don't sleep deeply. Instead, we nap whenever we can. And it's just, sometimes they're sweet, sometimes they're sassy, sometimes they're just kind of fun. And sometimes there's some fun play on words too. But the design I absolutely love. And, and just making sure that one of the things that I want to do in the Truth About series was to really, maybe squash any myths, or, sometimes when we're teaching young children, we kind of overgeneralize because that simplicity is sometimes needed. But here I really wanted to showcase all the differences when it comes to the different kinds of animals. And so here the question is, where do spiders live? And this is a diving bell spider. So that is an underwater photograph. The diving bell spider spends its entire life living underwater. It just surfaces, comes to the surface about once a day to collect a little bit of air and take it back to its underwater nest.
Wow.
I think that is amazing.
Yeah.
And so, and here, this spider, let's see if you can.
We can see
that
it,
spider is saying, the question was, where do spiders live? And this spider saying, home sweet home, here I come. I stand on tiptoe and face the wind. I pull silk threads from my abdomen to catch the wind. Then I balloon to my new home. Whee!
Wow.
Says the spiderling. But I have to show you one other thing. So some of the books in this series, so you can see this cover. This is for Scurry, The Truth About Owls, but check this out.
Oh.
So two different covers. So we have the book jacket, and then we also
Truth
have
About Spiders and The Truth About Spiders. Wow.
But kids, and I must say, teachers and librarians have really been enjoying this too.
Yeah.
The book jacket opens up to a poster. So this is just featuring different cool spiders, and each poster is a little bit different, but take a look at this. It opens up to a full-size poster. And other than my little friend here in the corner, all the other spiders you can see that there's a variety of sizes. Some are little and some are really big. Yeah. But these are all actual size on that poster. It's really cool. And each of these books in the series features the hardcovers feature a poster, and it's just one more way to kind of showcase these animals. So that was all the different sizes of spiders. With Who Knew, we have some common owl types, lots of beautiful owls, and then owl superpowers. So we have the strong grip, the binocular vision, and more. And here's Wolf. And okay, you don't have to be a dog lover to say you just want to cuddle up with this dog,
right?
And when I meet folks, they often say, is this kind of a dog featured in your book? And it's like, lots of dogs are featured, but also mixed breeds as well. So there are lots of beautiful dogs featured. And then here we also have, the dog's super sense and their unconditional love and so much more. Yeah. So much fun. And I don't know if you can tell, but this dog actually has two different colored eyes.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Really cool.
Oh my gosh.
So
So I,
there's so much to love in these books. And it's not just the writing. I mean, yes, I share facts and I want to share a variety, but children are really drawn in. And because it's a question and answer book, you know, if you have a 3 or 4-year-old with a short attention span, just one page can be read. In a classroom setting, you're not going to read the whole thing at once, a little bit at a time, and they'll be wanting more. And they'll probably want to borrow it from your desk when in between read aloud time too. But it's just some of the fun with it. And one thing that I didn't mention, because there's just a whole lot to love.
Yeah.
I love what we call back matter. And back matter is that after the story is over, the information that comes at the end of the book. So it really helps readers and even the adults to understand the story a little bit more. So here is the end of the story, and it's who endangers owls. And the story ends, yet many owlets grow up with the unforgettable call, the glowing eyes, the fierce beak, and that's the truth about owls. So that's how the story of Who Knew ends. But then we have information about helping owls. And you can see, you know, it's no longer in that question and answer format, but it still feels the same with the same fonts, same beautiful images. And then
so that one is like a call to action. Like after you've learned all of this information, after we've sparked your curiosity with this little fictional owl or the fictional character, all of these incredible facts and information and a question that you may think you know the answer to, but we've got more. And then all these images, now that we know all of that, here are some next steps that we can take with that knowledge.
Absolutely. And you know, here we have the anatomy of an owl. Just even though the main text does touch on some of these features, this really dives in, and we still have those great images, even though these are, I mean, here's my finger, so we can tell that these are fairly small images, but we're still highlighting and still sharing more information with those curious kids. And then we have a way to get hands on. And this is the owl pellet dissection, which if you've never dissected, you don't have to be a scientist, and it's not scary to dissect an owl pellet. It's dry, it's not messy, unless you're outside and the wind is blowing, then feathers will blow all over or fur. But an owl pellet is made of the undigestible bones and fur or feathers, depending on what the last meal of the owl was. And they regurgitate it or cough it out. And then we get to find out what its last meal was. And, you know, we have the glossary and still more beautiful images, as well as some websites to explore. And then, so when I research, I really prefer to get hands-on as much as possible. I consult with experts. I'm not an expert. You know, I was a classroom teacher. I might love science. I might love animals, but I don't know everything about them. But this is what happened when I was researching for Who Knew. I got to hold, not just meet, but I got to hold Quincy, a huge Eurasian eagle owl. And so I had to don, you know, leather gloves up past my elbow, and it was just really cool. And so when I was researching about spiders, thankfully I had done my research first because it made me very curious. But I got to hold a living tarantula, and yes, she crawled up my arm. My expert made sure that she didn't get tangled in my hair, because that does become a problem. But you know, and maybe later I can introduce you all to Edna.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that brings me to another question I have in my mind for you then is, so your books already sparked this curiosity. And I'm just wondering, especially because you just brought out Edna, and I'm guessing you, and looking at the photo of you and that incredible owl, I'm guessing you have lots of little things that are complementary to the books that you've written that probably help really amplify that curiosity. So maybe some tips on things that we can do as grown-ups to support that curiosity with students, maybe like 1 or 2 tips.
Okay. So books are an easy way, but I really do think getting hands-on with that curiosity, whether it's something like coding, whether it is gardening, planting seeds, and really feeling the soil. And how is, here's soil from my yard. Here's soil, potting soil that you purchased. Why does this look so much better? This has little bits of plants in it. Why is this good for the plant? But getting hands-on, being able to touch and feel and experience anything is going to help us to remember and celebrate it more. And so when I was researching about spiders, I got to hold a tarantula, and I even got to bring home my 8-legged friend. Patty, is it okay if I open her up?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So I keep her in the box, and not everybody has access to something like Edna. Edna is a Brazilian white-kneed spider. She is only the exoskeleton. And so, if you ever see a molt of a snake, save it, because it is such a great learning opportunity. Same with this is a spider molt, so it's just a spider skin. And she is super, I keep holding her too low. I'm sorry. I need to get a little closer. But she is super fragile. She actually, this leg in the front that is all wobbly, that's because it's broken. And then, and I'm the only one who's ever held her, but let's see if I can shine the light. Yeah. So can you see those fangs?
Oh my word. Yeah.
Right here are the fangs. And kids might even be like, wait, it looks like she has 10 legs, not 8. Spiders are supposed to have 8 legs. Well, that's because spiders also have palps, and palps are kind of like arms. So they're a little bit shorter, and spiders use them like arms. But like if you're teaching something, or if you have kids that are just curious, ask around, because you might have a friend who has something like Edna, and it doesn't have to be really big and amazing like I think it is. It could be something even, these can be purchased on Amazon. These are just spiders in plastic and resin. And this allows, so Edna's really fragile. Others aren't going to be able to handle her, but we can look at this tarantula. We can look at this spider, and all tarantulas are types of spiders, but kids can look and examine and learn more by just taking a look. But more than that, if there's a spider in the corner of your classroom, instead of squishing it, use it as a teachable moment. Yeah, you might not want it there. So you can use a glass and a piece of paper, and put the glass upside down slide the paper underneath the spider and carry it outside, so that we can kind of just respect. It's that appreciation of life and respecting what is here. And even though this might be our space indoors, we can gently take a little critter outside. And why not get outside with kids to appreciate this life, lifting up rocks, looking for insects, looking for worms, picking flowers, and making sure that they live by putting them in water, little things like that. Just getting hands on really does make a difference. And I think getting outside makes a difference.
Totally. And the way that you're describing this too, and the things that you're showing are just so simple. And I really think we don't need a lot of bells and whistles to really celebrate curiosity, right? You have found through words, through images, and through almost like artifacts and actual tangible things. And if not tangible, then we can watch them on video. We're lucky enough that we have access to this. If we're not in a place where we can just step outside and find those things, that we can connect with people who do. That simplicity is so helpful. And that's really, we don't want a lot of bells and whistles. That might stand in the way of that, celebrating that curiosity.
Absolutely. So, one of the reasons I think owls are so popular is because they're so mysterious.
Yeah.
And most of us haven't seen an owl in real life. We might have heard one, but have we seen one? Even though, and yet we know what they look like. But something that we can do with animals, I haven't traveled to Africa, but what I can do? I can use live cams to watch those zebras, to watch that elephant herd. I can use live cams to watch a nest of owls. And, we can take advantage of technology, and it can just, in the classroom, it can just be in the background. It doesn't need to be, it might be during in the mornings when students are arriving, it might just be on and in the background. It doesn't need to be a lesson because there might not be much happening. And that's okay, because not everything is like, ooh, exciting in nature. Once in a while, it really is. And it's awesome when that's captured on video or on camera. But we can also just appreciate the mundane in nature.
Yes. Yes. So that brings me, but thinking about things that we can find online, that brings me to think about your website. And you put out newsletters and blogs, and it's such a rich resource for parents, educators, librarians, kids. And I know that you also love to go into places like parent nights and libraries and schools, and so you are just a resource for celebrating curiosity as well. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing the inside scoop about the Truth About series, and giving us lots of insight to celebrating curiosity and being able to continue that joyful learning experience with kids. Just so appreciate your work, and I'm a big fan of your books, and an even bigger fan of you now after this conversation. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Patty. It's always a pleasure to connect with people who care, and kids, the readers who they might not know that they're a reader yet. They might not know that they like nonfiction. But the more they experience it, and especially newer informational books, because the books that were published 20 years ago and 30 years ago that most of our libraries have lots of, they're good for research, but they're not necessarily good for engaging the reader. So thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone will celebrate curiosity today.